Can you guys hear me? I can't hear you guys.
Nobody cares about them.
Oh, I hear that. I heard that, guys.
No.
Well, I'm opposed to the whole thing.
I hear all that stuff.
Hey, if you're catching us on a live stream, we're just getting some stuff put together. We'll be starting the show here in just a minute.
Ew.
WTH.
What the hell?
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 This is the WTH podcast.
Hold on to your butts.
Jason Casey, Kareem Daniels, and Nate Darling. From the Darling New Media Studios. This is the WTH podcast.
Yeah! Welcome into another episode of the WTH podcast. Back after a week away. Hello, everybody. Happy Labor Day if you're watching us live on Facebook, on the YouTube. Where else? Oh, Twitter. We're on Periscope on Twitter.
Again?
Yeah, we're going to be doing that on the regular. So, you know, we want to be there for as many of the peeps as we can, and you know, in that vein, we've just you know, we're trying to be everywhere for everyone as much as we possibly can. Let me see here. Let me make sure I'm on. I'm going to share this to my personal page here. I'm taking care of business on the show, so that's what we're doing. Normally, we would be doing the show at 7:30, but we decided since it's Labor Day, get her done early, and then Jason can put his kids to bed.
That's right.
We've got a lot of stuff going on too. Let's see, where is it? I'm not seeing that anyway. Yeah, I need to know where we are live. Oh, hold on, we're not live on Facebook. We're only live on Periscope and YouTube. So there's that. Let me see if I can go ahead and add Facebook in as a late addition. Let's see if it'll go on. I'm going to save changes, and we'll see if we should be going live on my personal Facebook page here, and we'll see if that kicks in. Kicks in is something that's actually happening. So, it's exhausting some days to try to, you know, just get it right. It really is. And apologies for the delays and everything. We said we'd be on at 3:30. We were on about 10 minutes late, and then we weren't on Facebook because I was trying to decide if we were going to be on the Darling New Media page or my personal page. Actually happening, so don't need that. Thanks. It's going well. It's going well. It's a holiday show, by the way. This is what happens when you're away for a week. You get rusty with stuff, and things might not. Things might get a little on the weird side, and
here it comes, baby. Here it comes.
There you go. Yeah, so I don't see it live on mine, but again, I don't because it goes to Facebook Watch.
I think it's live. Yeah. It's up. We're up.
Okay. Fantastic. Go ahead and share that, Jason, if you would. That would be fantastic.
I did. We already have 4 people watching, baby.
Yeah, there we go. Let me look for Jason here really quickly. Jason. You know, as much as I have Jason part of my life, there's another Jason that always shows up first in my searches, which is weird because alphabetically he doesn't come first. Jason Knight comes after you alphabetically, but I guess first in my heart. I don't know.
That's cool.
I love both of you, but it's just interesting every time I type Jason and he is right at the top. Right, it might be a height thing because he is significantly taller than you.
That's exactly what it is. Google knows.
And that is not at all a slight on you, my friend. It is. Hold on, I need to turn this back. There we go. Let me get myself sounding back to where I should be sounding. And hey, there we go. Now I sound more like myself. Whoo! Yeah, I should have got here 10 minutes earlier. Just saying, but holidays. It's holiday. Anyway, coming up on the show today, we're going to try and have a fun side of the show and a more serious side of the show. That's kind of I want to have a little bit for everybody. I don't want to be super heavy the whole time, but I want to make sure that we are true to ourselves and hitting everything. But before we get into all of that, everything we got coming up, including stupidity in California, we will have a cooler tool and some small town news as well in the show today. Jason, what do you want to talk about?
Oh man, what do I want to talk about?
If only you would have thought of that for the past 10 minutes while I was fucking around.
Yeah, I know, right? If I would have thought about that instead of making sure that my list for things that I need to have for going away, like with this whole, COVID-19 and stuff like that, do you have any plans to get out of town or go anywhere, do anything?
My wife is heading to Reading tomorrow. She has a commitment up there on Wednesday that she has to fulfill. So she's going up there for that. What I was looking at actually is we want to start doing some hikes and some getaways, stuff like that, where we're getting out into nature and doing that sort of thing. So I'm kind of looking at, are there places where we can go and hit the beach on the coast and sort of be away from people? Mm-hmm. I know a few places, but again, I have to go, okay, we have an 18-month-old. The baby, it's not a baby Bjorn, but the equivalent of the baby Bjorn we have, is that going to work for getting to something like the beach at Point Reyes, which is a hike through the sand? And, she can't hike through the sand.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, she can run wild through the sand, but then we got to chase her and it's a whole thing. So the hike down to the beach, it's, I think, a half mile, something like that. It's nothing terrible, but it's one of those things where you have to be prepared. And now having that extra little body you have to deal with. And by the way, now she is every day runs faster, a little faster every day as she gets a little bit more daring with it.
Oh yeah.
And she loves nothing more than running from one end of the house to the other and screaming.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so long story short, yes, hoping to get out of town, but away from people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what we're doing. We're going away to a place that's like, these people have a place that's like 500 acres, and it'll be us.
Sure
Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
just make sure there are no bears outside.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, it might see me and want to mate. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get in with that one.
You flatter yourself, sir.
Bears love me.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about the ones it faces, because they do.
My girl and her friends went to Tahoe the week we were off,
Right.
for like 3 days, and a bear ended up at their door.
That's the thing that I always am like, maybe we should go hiking up around Tahoe. And then I'm like, bears.
Bears.
Then I'm like, bears. And especially with a little one.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, she's not old enough to be like, hey, come here, because she doesn't listen.
Yeah.
Well, if I say no, I know what'll happen is she'll fall to the ground and immediately start crying.
Which
So
if you need her just to stop, like that's a good way to get her to stop.
Yeah, sure.
Well, at least you'll know where she's at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's the fun challenge of it all. But yeah, you're getting away to a little bit north of here.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's not too smoky out.
That's always the rub, and we've there. You never know when one's going to pop up. We got a little info on that a little later on in the show about how, especially in Southern California, they had one pop up. Kareem, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I'm going to do a little bit of both the heavy and hopefully the light. As I always say, I watch a bunch of Innocent Project stuff. So Curtis Flowers got released from prison after 44 years, and being tried 6 times. And so the question, and finally last week, the state of Mississippi said that they're not going to retry him again. So
fantastic.
So he's a free man now. And so it's his first Labor Day out of prison, and he's washing cars
in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hot day.
Yeah. So my question is, if you had spent 44 years in prison, what would you be doing on your first? And I'm going to count this really as his first week of freedom, because now he knows he's not going to get charged again. What would you be doing on your first week of freedom?
Jason, what do you think?
Besides that,
right?
It's a good pod right there. I was putting one finger inside another, 2 fingers like in a circle, to simulate a finger going into a circle finger. It's seeing family, I guess. Making love to my wife or girlfriend if I can. I don't know if I'd be washing cars, but good on him.
I don't think you know until you've lived the experience. It's interesting because one of the clients that we have here at Darling New Media is the Crop Organization. They do a podcast called The Prison Post. And the Crop Organization is made up primarily of people who have been freed after being sentenced to life sentences. And they've spent 20 plus years in prison. So it's interesting to hear their perspective on all of the things and, kind of how they've been adjusting to what's going on. But the other thing you have to remember is when you get out of prison like that, you don't have, we're in a pandemic. So it's not like I'm going to Disneyland, although I guess it's open, or Disney World. You don't necessarily have the money to go do whatever you want. So what are you going to do? You're probably going to be like, for somebody like that who's been locked up and not able to do whatever, to be able to just be outside for as long as you want and wash cars and play in the water and do whatever the fuck, that has to feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think.
Well, I agree with you. The idea that you could just be outside. I don't think I would want to be in the house much at all.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing. It's the pandemic. Suddenly it's like, well, you're out of jail or out of prison, and now you're supposed to stay at home all the time. I mean, even though it's not prison, it has the same sort of feeling, I would think, in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although unlimited yard time. Yard time.
One of the guys that listens to watching the show right now, Richard Morales, is he on?
Yes, he's the host of the Prison Post.
Oh, he spent 21 and he just wanted to mow his mom's grass and wash her car.
Yeah,
But you call it
the simple shit you haven't been able to do.
deep debt service is a wanted to service. So, all right,
Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting being around those guys and their perspective on different things, because it really gives you an idea, because it's easy to go, oh, this is someone who's in prison, they did something terrible. There are people who make a change in their life once they have made that mistake and they get into a situation. It's not what prison is really doing for the most part, but there are people in prison and there are groups helping them to better themselves and make these changes so that they are able to get out and lead a productive life, which, I mean, honestly, isn't that the best thing for all of us?
Yes.
Once we can get past the idea of, you really need to be punished for what you did, or, just that idea of retribution in certain circumstances. So once you get past that, don't you want somebody who is made that change to go, you know what, I really fucked up.
Yeah.
And now it's time to do something with my life and be a productive part of society. And, to hear their stories and kind of how they do that, it's really so interesting to get that perspective, because you don't get it. You can imagine it, but you're not really going to get it until you start to hear those stories.
I'm going to check out that podcast.
Yeah. They drop a new one every Wednesday. So just like we do.
Yeah.
Wednesday shows.
So I'm going to add you guys to my rotation of podcasts.
Right. Yeah.
I had a shitload of.
We've got a lot of really, really good podcasts and good groups of people. That's the thing I love about the growth that's happening here at the business, is we've got a lot of good people who are coming in here to create their vision and live it out. And to help them be able to do that is really great, because some of the stuff, it's a huge variety. Everybody goes, well, what type of shows are coming out of there? And it's like, what types of shows aren't coming out of here? Because it's literally anybody can have a podcast. And, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I've got an idea for this. Okay, let's do it. Let's figure out how to make that happen. And some people come in with a fully formed idea. Some people come in with like this vague concept, and to be able to just bring that all to life is just really very cool to see that satisfaction that people have when they're able to do that. So anyway,
what do you want to talk about, Nate?
The headline, gun juggling is on the rise in Houston.
Huh?
That is the headline.
nice.
What you talking about, Willis?
Well, oh yeah. I'm talking about an advertisement for Fox NFL.
Thursday night, baby.
Yeah, fantastic.
Known as gun jugging is said to be on the rise here locally. Police caught two
Oh, I'm sorry, gun jugging, not juggling. I misread that.
people just yesterday in the act. Fox 26's Tiffany Justice spoke to a gun club about how to best protect yourself if you do own firearms. Hey, Tiffany.
Right, Caitlin, gun jugging. Many people that we spoke to today, gun owners and gun clubs, say that it's quite common and that people should be cautious transporting their guns because criminals are watching.
They're actually staking out your vehicle, waiting for you to leave your guns unattended, be it inside your vehicle or in your trunk. It happens so fast.
Yesterday, the Houston Police Department arresting 19-year-old Braylon Holland and 18-year-old Eric Hill for gun jugging. Police say they followed the victim from a gun range off of the 10,000 block of Katy Freeway to a retail store. As the victim went inside, the suspect parked directly behind the victim's car, smashing out a back window and taking two gun cases from the back seat.
When you're leaving a place like this, you have to look at everything that's around. Look at your surroundings.
Armando Clark, a gun trainer at the Athena Gun Club, says it's important to keep an eye on your guns at all times.
We've had a couple of people that, I left the gun club and walked just into the corner store. And when I came out, my stuff was gone. These people are watching.
Clark recommends a gun safe for your car if you plan on not going directly home.
If you have a gun safe, if you're an SUV, they make special safes for SUVs that are big that can store multiple firearms. If you can secure your firearm in your vehicle, do that. You need to do that.
For gun owners like Ben Avides.
All right, I have a thought, and call me crazy here. Maybe if they know that there's dudes watching the gun range, maybe the gun range needs to put in some security.
That's an idea.
I'm just saying, maybe you do something to protect your customers if that's really an issue, instead of going, well, you got to keep an eye on your guns because they're watching you. Ha 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 ha.
And buy a safe from us to keep your guns in.
Buy a safe from us, or don't have a gun. I mean, there's that option. I like this story better when I thought it was gun juggling.
Yeah, ditto.
But I think it's funny that people with guns are being robbed of their guns.
Well, it's because, and the thing is, would they be robbed of their guns if they actually were carrying? Because Texas is an open carry state, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, obviously you can't open carry everywhere, but there you go. Okay. So this next thing I titled, What the Shit? And it comes to us from TMZ. The Village people are apparently super annoyed at Trump supporters, saying, how dare you denigrate the YMCA? And you say to yourself, you say to me, you say, Nate, what are you talking about? How are they denigrating the YMCA? So it starts out with footage. It says August 22nd, a violent Black Lives Matter mob swarmed the Trump Unity Bridge in Beverly Hills. The Trump Unity Bridge. But the Trump Unity Bridge responded to BLM with a dance-off to their unifying theme.
Walk away from the hate, we're all human. And we don't segregate. Just like women, how they come we are all in this together. Our colors are red, white, and blue, and they stand for every one of you. And together, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make America great. Woo! Everybody sing M-A-G-A.
Go fuck yourself. Say it again. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Song's gonna make me cry.
That in a good way.
Go fuck yourself.
Just remember,
Come on. I'm actively looking for a knife for Razor.
Go fuck yourself.
Walk away from the hate. We're all human.
Go fuck yourself. Say it again. Go fuck yourself.
We'll make America great. We are all in this together. Everybody sing M-A-G-A.
Go fuck yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I was about to stick. I was looking for something to stick into my ears.
There's another minute and a half left.
No, please, come on, Nate. Fucking A, dude. I'm in a bad mood now. Like, I'm just in a shitty mood.
Oh my god.
So the Village people are mad about this.
I'm mad about you playing it for so long.
It was only so I could do that.
Go fuck yourself.
I just had to hit that in. Members of the group tell TMZ that they hate the idea of the song being used to promote Trump's reelection. They say, other than to antagonize Biden supporters, we don't really get Trump supporters' fascination with YMCA. They go on to say that we are annoyed by this type of use of YMCA is an understatement. Problem for the group. Victor Willis, a founding member, lead singer, and songwriter, controls the copyright, and he's not going to block it. Victor has previously said, I will continue to criticize the president when he says or does something I disagree with, and I disagree with most of his politics, but I'm not a Trump hater. Therefore, I will not take the next step of bringing suit against the president simply because he loves YMCA and won't stop playing it at all of his rallies.
Go fuck yourself.
So what Willis just said was, I am going to keep getting the money that I get
Money.
from him paying it because I don't have another source of income.
Money.
I can't hate you for that, Willis, but
What you talking about, Willis?
that's what Willis is talking about.
Oh boy. Meanwhile, and I mentioned this to the guys on the All Eyes on Us podcast last night when we were doing it. This came across from TMZ. Apparently, Trump hired a black man to play faux Obama and belittle and fire him. This happened back in 2013. It was supposed to air during the 2016 Republican National Convention. It never saw the light of day until recently. It's really terrible. It really is. He hires this actor who has a bit of a resemblance to Obama, barely. It's really good. Let me play a little bit of it for you, just so you can get an idea. I'm gonna skip into it a little bit because it gets pretty bad. So he's reading the Obama
You've never
file.
really managed people before. You've never run a business. Who hired you? You oversee budgets, and you were never responsible for making a payroll or signing paychecks. You've really never balanced anything. Certainly not your own budget. Now, your golf swing is good, but I know you get to play a lot. And for all that you play, you should have a much more upright finish. You'd be much better at the game.
Go fuck yourself.
It goes on from there. I'm not going to play it as long as the YMCA.
Thank you.
It's really ironically it was obtained by Breitbart. Of all the outfits to obtain it and then put it out, Breitbart got this.
That's because Steve is probably pissed right now that he's
in jail.
Well, he's out of jail, but he's pretty much still in jail.
Yeah.
So Steve is about to turn on him. All of this shit that he has on him is about to come out.
Right. It's
so Steve's like, look, motherfucker, if you don't start working on my pardon, we're gonna have to let some stuff out.
Yeah. Well, it's out. It's out. I love the looking back to Trump criticizing the amount of golf that Obama played.
Oh my God. Dude's on the golf course now.
Yeah. And every time he's on a golf course, he's on one of his golf courses, and the taxpayers are paying him a fuck ton of money.
Yes.
Like, he's like, well, I'm not taking a salary. No, but we've spent several $1 million over the past 3 years to protect your sorry ass on your own golf course.
He's made more money on his golf course than he's made as being president.
Well, yeah, he doesn't take a salary.
I mean, even if he took a salary.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to illustrate for anybody who doesn't think white privilege is real. We found another example, and it's not Stitches, Jason. It is a rapper, though, and a white rapper at that. Her name is Chanel West Coast. And you might recognize her from the show Ridiculousness.
Yes.
Well, Chanel had a birthday party, and apparently between 100 and 200 people showed up to celebrate her 32nd birthday. And by 10 p.m., the neighbors had had enough of it, and 11 neighbors, not 9, not 10, 11 neighbors called the cops on her. And she wasn't really thrilled about them calling the cops. And in fact, it starts out kind of interesting how she handles it. She tries to point them to a bigger party. Like, why are you trying to break up our small gathering? There's a party with more people that you should be checking out.
Snitching on everybody.
Yeah.
Up Laurel Canyon off of Mulholland, and it has 300 people. And I only have like less than fucking 100 here. So if you guys want to really break up some chaos that's going to cause corona, you should go to the parties that are actually with like extensive amounts of people. I just gave you lots of tips. I'm helping you.
I just gave you lots of tips. I'm helping you.
Snitched on everybody.
Okay.
Got some tips.
Can you imagine rolling up to, I'm going to say Missy Elliott's house, just because she's the first person. or Nicki Minaj, or anybody like that. Although I'm picking actual famous African American female artists and not Chanel West Coast. If they were like, you know what, you need to go here.
Yeah.
How do you think that would go over?
No.
Yeah. It continues.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we appreciate you, Queen.
I love you too. Also, so my ex-boyfriend was shot and killed when he was 19.
Okay, now we're opening a new book.
Yeah.
It's not fun. I mean, it's sad.
Well, it is. It's a sad story, but listen to where she goes.
That murder is still unsolved. So if you guys want to really do something with your lives, you can solve murder mysteries instead of breaking up parties. I know.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you can go. You can go solve murder mysteries.
Yeah. All right, Detective Columbo.
Your people still got to get their asses up out of here.
Oh man!
You imagine 200 people rolling up in your neighborhood,
right?
Or 100 to 200, even 100 people rolling up in your neighborhood.
I imagine 20 people rolling up in your neighborhood.
To be fair, they were all car sharing.
Because I deal with the shit. Because one of my neighbors down the streets have parties.
Sure.
And people always park in front of our house. And it's the weirdest pain in the ass thing. It's like, look, we got 2 cars. My car's in the driveway. Why are you in front of my house? Even the people across the street is like, no, 200. Oh, hell no.
And they did not call the cops until after 10. So I know it had to be loud.
Yeah.
So 10 o'clock rolls around. They're like, hey, this fucking party's been going on for a long time. You need to make this stop. But no one took her down. No one put a knee on her neck. No one threw her into a chokehold. No. She didn't get thrown into the back of a car.
Hey, they didn't even cut off her power.
No, none of those things. Absolutely none of those things. So that's an interesting illustration. I thought that was a great illustration of white privilege. Yeah. Because I cannot imagine an African-American woman being able to roll out of her house, talk to a bunch of cops that way, and have them be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
no, she'd be at the pool hanging out with her family the way that she's supposed to be. The cops would end up tasing her.
Yep. That's real.
Yeah, it's a
damn shame.
So for everybody who thinks white privilege isn't real, it's real. It doesn't take that much to find it, to really go, okay, now I see what you're talking about. So when I see something that's that blatant, I like to go, okay, hey,
yeah,
stitches. Fucking guy. All right, it's time for a new segment that I like to call what do I call that? Oh yeah, stupidity in California. So there are fires all over California right now, and it's dry as fuck, and there's wind, and lightning has sparked most of them. However, there's a new one that was not sparked by lightning. Oh no, it was sparked by something far worse than God's wrath and nature's wrath. The need for people to publicly announce the gender of their unborn fucking child. That's right. A smoke-generating pyrotechnic device used during a gender reveal party sparked the El Dorado fire burning near Yucaipa, which has charred more than 8,000 acres.
Nice. This shit happened in Arizona. How the fuck did you not learn from that?
Well, it was a different type of device in Arizona. That was one where the one in Arizona was a border patrol agent, by the way, last year, who shot at something that exploded and revealed either blue or pink, whatever the fuck. Nobody cares. No. Nobody cares.
You're having a fucking baby. They're gonna give you presents.
Here's what you need. This is what every gender reveal party needs to be. It's a scoreboard that's got an X on it, and in an envelope, in a manila envelope, there's another letter. It's either an X or a Y, and you put that up there. And the problem is, people aren't smart enough to realize what that would mean.
Yeah.
I get pink and blue, but I don't know what XY means. I don't know. Duh. I don't believe in science. I don't know what that XY stuff is. Shouldn't that be XOXOXO because we's in love and that's how we made a baby?
Man, how the fuck is everything around you burning and you still doing stupid shit like this?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because the rules don't apply to them, Kareem. It's everybody that doesn't know what to do. That's like, they knew what they were doing. All right, Kareem? They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they did. So now it's time for me to talk about this fucking guy. And this fucking guy, I don't know how to properly pronounce his name, and I don't give a shit. It's Sean Fucht, or Fucht. Feucht. I'm going to call him Sean Fucht. Well, Sean Fucht is a husband, father, recording artist, and founder of multiple movements, including Bowel, and the lover of Jesus Christ. I don't know. I don't know what type of lover, like gentle lover of Jesus Christ. Are you a gentle lover of Jesus Christ?
I'm a passionate lover.
A passionate lover. Platonic lover? Lover. That's his Twitter. That's what his Twitter bio says. So he is part of the organizing party for what happened at the California State Capitol on Sunday, which was a concert with about 1,200 people who love Jesus and will pray away Corona or whatever might come their way. It's amazing. So his Twitter feed is legitimately interesting. He's clearly he's pushing his music, which is one thing, but he tweeted 12,000 strong showed up to let their voice be heard. We will not be silenced in California. A new season of courage, boldness, and revival is sweeping across our state. Who is ready? # let us worship. Here's a little bit of what it sounded like.
Our churches, the people of this state.
Apparently they had a little baptism pool too.
Cool.
Right? Yeah.
Jim Jones would have made a killing during this time.
God. I mean, seriously, I'm not saying don't love God. I mean, if that's your thing and you love God, fantastic for you.
But man, if Jim Jones had the internet, God damn.
Woo-wee. I mean, he accomplished that in 1979. You had to leave people. They didn't even have a like an answering machine at home.
Wow.
Right. What's interesting is I saw some people. So they've got drone shots and go, look at all these people. They were all on the west steps of the Capitol. But I saw some people also on Twitter who posted that they went and picked up takeout near Doco, which is a few blocks from there. And they had no idea that there was anything going on over at the Capitol. So this idea that 12,000 people on the west steps of the Capitol is this huge thing that has overwhelmed the city of Sacramento and the capital, California, is just utter fucking nonsense. No. It's absolute and utter nonsense.
How many people fit into Golden One?
18,000.
Okay.
And that's leaving the court open. If you were to put somebody in the middle of that, like in the round situation, you could probably put, I would say 20,000 people in there.
Yeah. On those steps in front of the Capitol, there's a lot of room over there.
And they were all they were all like shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Like there's no pandemic going on. There, by the way, there's a pandemic going on. We'll get to how how some people found out the hard way about that in small town news, by the way. By the way, stick around to the end. You won't want to miss it. It's some serious like, oh shit.
I can't believe.
I don't know.
Go fuck yourself.
Absolutely.
Say it again. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And we did a march. I participated in a couple of marches, but we did one. But everybody that was at the march had on masks. So It was no shit like this where you're just there and swapping spit.
The only thing that is potentially going to make this less of an event is, in terms of spreading, is that it was outside.
Yeah.
It was also 110. By the way, here was the message that he posted on Twitter before the event started.
We are here on the steps of the Capitol building in Sacramento. And I'm telling you, there is such an expectation in my spirit for what God is going to do in just a few hours. I want to encourage you. It's actually not that hot out. There's tons of shade under these trees. We're getting this amazing sound.
Hold on, there's shade under the trees?
Sound system set up. We got people traveling in from across the nation. Please make sure you do not miss this. Join us in person. We're going to block off a few streets probably with the amount of people that are coming, and join us online. We'll see you in just a few hours. Revival in California.
It's so damn hot.
We are here on the steps of the
Milk was a bad choice.
And there's another example of white privilege, because you have the Highway Patrol gave him a permit for 1,000 people.
Right.
I couldn't have 11,000 more people than 1,000 people at my event if I did an event. Shit would not happen. Matter of fact, they would be standing there counting the people coming by. Like, you need to go.
Kareem.
You need to go.
You wouldn't have gotten the permit because you're black.
No, they didn't gave me the permit, but they would have been counting every motherfucker that went in there.
There you go. Okay. Yeah.
Gotta keep you in line.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotta keep you in line.
Because, you know, they can't get the lawsuit for racism, but they would have been counting every motherfucker that came through.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna say that's a 100.
All right. So now it's time for what I like to call a bit of a palate cleanser, and I think that that's important. Have you guys ever gone skydiving?
No, I've been talking about it.
No, I stayed away from that one.
Skydiving.
Oh, okay.
Every time we've talked about it, either the one in the Lodi or the one in David, somebody died, and you're like, yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, the one in Lodi. No, that's
in Lodi. You'll have a
gravity.
high
Gravity wins there far too often. Gravity and inertia.
Yeah,
it's a bad combination.
That's the skydiving. That's the skydiving.
So this dude goes skydiving, and of course, the first time you go, you're doing a tandem jump, where really you're just baby Bjorning on somebody who actually knows what they're doing. This dude jumps out of the plane, and he almost immediately passes out. So he's free falling, strapped to somebody else, and he passes out. So the instructor is yelling, "Hey!" And he's like reaching from behind. He's like lifting up the dude's chin, like, "Hey!" And of course, he's looking at the camera, going, can you fucking believe this? So imagine for a moment you have passed out, fallen asleep, you're out cold, and you wake up and you're falling from the sky. What's your reaction going to be? So again, he's going. Apparently, he forgot somewhere in there. He goes skydiving, goes through the instruction, gets all strapped up, jumps out of the plane, loses consciousness, and gets woken up before they touch down.
You ever watch those slingshot videos?
Which ones?
The slingshot videos. There's like an amusement park in Florida where they where they strap two people in a chair and they shoot them up in the air.
Oh yeah.
Oh, those are hilarious.
But
and that's what this makes me think about.
Here's the one thing that I know is if you woke up and you're a couple thousand feet in the air and you don't really know what's going on. I mean, think about it. Have you ever been laying in bed and you're like on your side and you roll over when you're half asleep and you're like you have this feeling that you're falling?
Oh yeah, last night.
Yeah,
happened to me last night twice.
Yeah. Oh, it did. Oh yeah, we have audio of Jason in his bedroom.
Something like that.
That or the pee dream.
There's your palate cleanse. See, we got every now and then you got to break in a palate cleanser to go through that. Meanwhile, in Kareem's home state of North Carolina, there was a gentleman who he's a doctor, by the way. It says Tesla operated in autopilot mode. He was watching a movie on his phone when the vehicle crashed into a police car. According to police, Devender Goli, who's a 66-year-old emergency room doctor from Raleigh, he was traveling home just after midnight on Highway 64 when his Tesla Model S sedan struck a Nash County Sheriff's Office patrol car, which then caromed into a North Carolina State Highway Patrol vehicle. The deputy and a state trooper had stopped on the highway due to a previous accident, and when they were knocked to the pavement and the Tesla crashed, thankfully neither was seriously injured. A subsequent investigation determined that Golly was watching a movie on his phone while the Tesla was in autopilot mode. Due to an assortment of cameras and ultrasonic sensors, the electric car manufacturer claims autopilot is safer than a human driver in average driving conditions. Well, apparently that not an average driving condition right there. He's been charged with a pair of vehicular law violations, including driving a motor vehicle while viewing any television, computer, or video player. Golly's damaged Tesla and the sheriff's squad car. There's photos of them. They're banged up pretty good. Banged up pretty good. Yeah, he hit that full on.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty good. Before you ask, police have not identified what movie he was watching on his phone. This is an emergency room doctor. This is an educated person. You'd think they would know better.
So is Tesla paying for all of this damage?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Because I have to assume this is a lawsuit.
They can try to do a lawsuit, but I believe that they tell you that you still need to pay attention. The autopilot mode is not fully autopilot mode. You can't just like zone out and watch TV. You still need to at least be present in the moment.
Because right now they're saying that they're almost ready to have trucks, 18-wheelers that are autopiloted on the road, like with no person in there.
Right.
So I'm like, if a Tesla can't stop right there, I definitely don't want no 18-wheelers on the road.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's the rub. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's scary.
Yeah,
it's some scary shit. Meanwhile, a 19-year-old Floridian was arrested after she pulled her pants down and urinated in front of a cop car. This isn't even in Florida Corner, by the way.
Wow.
To make matters worse, on her way to jail when she was cited for offering to perform a sex act on a patrolman in exchange for her Juul e-cigarette. Her name's Madison Ann Bryant, and she was charged with disorderly intoxication, which is a misdemeanor, and offering a bribe to a public servant. That's a felony. That's a no-no. She was released that evening from the Lake County Jail after posting $3,000 bond. Cops discovered Bryant around 2:20 a.m. sitting in the median of US 27 in Leesburg, about 45 miles northwest of Orlando. She explained she had exited a nearby truck after arguing with the male driver about their relationship issues. And while her 22-year-old beau was getting busted for drunk driving, Bryant, who appeared to be heavily intoxicated as well, was not facing arrest. However, as she waited with deputies for a ride home, she stated she needed to use the bathroom and wished to go on the side of the road. After a cop said he would instead drive her to a gas station to use the restroom, she pulled their pants down and urinated in front of the squad car, gripping the vehicle's push bar as traffic passed by. Lassie. Upon pulling her pants up, she was arrested for disorderly intoxication. On the way to jail, she repeatedly asked the sheriff's deputy to give back her Juul vaping device, which was confiscated post-arrest. She said she used Juul for anxiety. At one point, the deputy reported that Madison asked me if I was married and had children. After the cop responded to that query, Bryant allegedly stated that she wasn't trying to fuck that up, but that she would suck my dick if I gave her Juul. After being offered this by Madison, I did not reply, continued to jail. The deputy noted Bryant was charged with a felony bribery count for the illicit offer, which was, in course, recorded by a cage camera inside the cop car. Bryant, whose occupation is listed as real estate, is scheduled for arraignment on September 29th. Wow. Yeah, that's definitely a wow. I just saying, I was like, yowza, you went from waiting for a ride home to to that. Oh,
and he wasn't even being an asshole. He was like, "Let me take you to the gas station."
Right? Yeah. It's
so everything that happened there was on you.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, a Tennessee man called 911 more than 1,100 times over the past 6 weeks. Why? Well, he asked them if they wanted to buy egg rolls. Egg rolls. Investigators alleged that Hu Nguyen, a 54-year-old Memphis resident, began dialing 911 from his cell phone in mid-July, and by the time of his arrest, Nguyen had logged 1,171 calls to 911, though he did not have an emergency. Last Tuesday, he called 911 241 times. On Wednesday, he placed 32 calls to the number, one of which involved food. The suspect asked 911 dispatcher if they wanted to buy egg rolls and then disconnected the line.
The hell?
He was arrested outside a building that is home to a Vietnamese restaurant and the Oriental Best Market. The criminal complaint does not indicate whether Nguyen has any connection to either the business or ready access to egg rolls. His iPhone was seized by police. He was charged with making non-emergency phone calls to 911, then released on his own recognizance, and will be back in court in November for a hearing in the misdemeanor case.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's time for this.
Cool, buddy.
All right, first up in Cooler Tool, egg rolls, Jason. Oh, Jason has stepped away from his camera. Kareem, egg rolls.
Egg rolls themselves are cool. This guy was a tool.
All right, Jason, you hear us?
I do hear you guys.
Okay, Cooler Tool, egg rolls.
Oh, egg rolls are fucking hella cool.
You know what? I think egg rolls are derivative of other nonsense and thus tool. Sorry.
What?
Up next in Cooler Tool, vaping, Jason.
I mean, it's cool, bro.
Kareem.
Tool.
Yeah, anything. I mean, clearly it's addictive. It's clearly addictive if you can't ride from the median to the police station without offering to suck a dick for one. That's tool.
That's tool.
That's tool. And finally, in Cooler Tool, surgeons, Kareem.
Damn. Surgeons. Depends on whether they have a God complex or not, or whether they're stupid enough to let their car drive itself. So I'm going to say tool at this point.
Jason.
I'll say cool. They're a surgeon. Come on, cool.
Yeah, surgeons for the most part are cool. And I get it, the God complex, but hell, man, you're cutting into people and fixing shit. That's pretty fucking amazing. Just saying. If you're good at it.
As long as you're not leaving shit in people.
If you're a bad surgeon, that ain't what I'm saying. But for the most part, surgeons are cool. So that's Cooler Tool for us. Okay, so this is going back just a little bit. That's not that. I don't want that story. I'm sorry. I don't want that story. I clicked on the wrong thing. I apologize. I do apologize. So you guys know Jim Gaffigan, right?
Yes.
Jason, you're familiar with Jim Gaffigan? Jim Gaffigan, super clean comedian, never swears about anything. He lost his shit on Twitter about a week ago, and he lost some fans, but he gained a bunch more. I'm trying to scroll back now. If we would have recorded last week, this would have been right at the top of this fucker. I mean, Jesus, he tweets a lot. He just lost his shit and started using. Now he's retweeting Lincoln Project stuff and. Here we go. He wrote a long post about it on Facebook. So
Jim Gaffigan is the definition of non-controversial comment.
Yeah. He titled his Facebook post, "What I've Learned Since I Lost My Mind." He said, "Before you start reading this, let me be clear. You do not have to read this. I'm not asking you to. I wrote this for myself mainly. No need to tell me this is poorly written. I know. I'm sure there are grammatical errors also. I've known for a long time. Probably I have an undiagnosed learning disability. My goal in writing this is a hope that I can organize and explain to you and myself why I did what I did and decide what we will do over the next 60 days or so. To be clear, up front, I don't think anyone is going to let an actor or comedian tell them who to vote for, despite the fact that the current president is essentially both an actor and a comedian. However, I'd be lying if I didn't say I want to change some minds. Of course, I do feel strongly about what's going on in our country, and I'll get to that shortly, but I also don't believe I'm an expert on politics or how the world works. I'd much rather be making jokes about some strange food I ate in Estonia. So let's set the stage. On Thursday night, I went on a Twitter rant about the RNC and Trump. I did. I must have been drunk. I wasn't. I was angry, cursing. I was, while tweeting out things that contradicted everything I stood for as a so-called clean Catholic comedian. I disagree. In reality, I've made jokes about Trump in my last 3 specials that have repeatedly expressed support for gay rights and Black Lives Matter on social media. Regardless of any of that, I am perceived as apolitical. That is somewhat intentional. I learned early in my stand-up career, people don't want to hear about politics. For me, I knew me talking about politics wasn't changing any minds, and I was only alienating half of my audience. Okay, fine. So what now? The answer is simple. Trump is a great salesman, possibly the best salesman I've seen in my lifetime. I don't care how many businesses he's driven into the ground, contractors he's screwed over. Trump is charming, funny, and comes across as sincere. I'm going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't find him charming or funny or sincere at all.
No.
It goes on very through there. He goes, let's go over what I've learned since I lost my mind. It felt liberating. Obviously, I can only speak for myself, but I know many of us are tired of censoring everything we say so we don't offend our politically correct friends. But this also applies to our passionate Trump friends, relatives, and peers. There was a time when civil political disagreement took place, even if you vehemently disagreed. It's like Thanksgiving after 2016. We decided to let the crazy relative decide the discourse and context of every argument. It was refreshing to let 4 years of frustration boil over and offer some straight talk on what Trump has done to our country and our democracy. He also said there are bots, lots of them. On Thursday night, I knew I would anger some followers with what I was saying, and I was prepared for the feedback. There was tons. I assumed some of the feedback was from bots, not that I necessarily understood the technology. I knew there were computer-generated messages sent to me by an algorithm. On Friday night, rather than talking to everyone on Twitter like I did on Thursday, I thought it might be constructive if I directed my reasons of why Trump needs to go to one person. I noticed a woman had tweeted at me, "You just lost a lot of fans." I proceeded to tweet a bunch of things to her, hopefully trying to be funny and persuasive. Eventually, another person on Twitter saw the tweets and informed me that the woman I was tweeting was, in fact, a bot, which is equally hilarious and frightening. This was revealing to me. Why was I the target of bots? Was it a Russian bot, a Trump bot? Is Trump a bot? So it goes through everything like that. But basically, he lost his shit. He absolutely lost his shit. And I think it's a feeling that a lot of us have had at various times.
Yeah.
Except instead of hitting delete on his post, he hit send.
I love it. I'm glad he did it because it. Like I said, he's the fucking Kevin Hart of comedy. He's like a white Kevin Hart. I mean, he doesn't do anything that's controversial. So the fact that he would step outside of that to say all the shit that he did, kudos. Even though our boy Johnny Taylor got mad because he was like, "I've been saying this shit forever."
Yeah. Some of his tweets were, "Look, Trumpers, I get it. As a kid, I was a Cubs fan, and I know you stick by your team no matter what but he's a traitor and a con man who doesn't care about you. Deep down, you know it. I'm sure you enjoy pissing people off, but you know Trump is a liar and a criminal." He said, "By the way, you can't be against cancel culture and tell people to stay out of politics. You know that time you did a job and didn't get paid? That's Trump, and you know it. I know you hate snobs and elites. I get it, but look at Ivana, and I mean, he means Ivanka, and that douchebag Jared. Think they're on your side? Do you think they've ever done a real day's work in their lives? Wake up. To those of you who think I'm destroying my career, wake up. If Trump gets elected, the economy will never come back. You know what? He lies constantly, yet you don't care. What? Because he insults people that make you and me feel dumb? And this is one of my favorites. Fuck Lou Holtz. Biden is a Catholic in name only? Compared to who? How many abortions did Trump pay for? How many women has he raped? How many times did he pull that shit he did in Ukraine? Wake up. He's a crook and a con man. Yeah. Fuck Lou Holtz.
Yes. I never liked him in the first place. So
meanwhile, speaking, we go to sports. Max Kellerman, who works at ESPN, he's the host of First Take. He got people very upset when he said SEC football fans were especially susceptible to very low quality information and easy to propagandize. He said they were almost immune to facts because uniformly adhere to alternative facts instead, saying if they stay in their kind of propaganda silos like the Fox News propaganda silo, it would matter what happened. Here's what it sounded like.
SEC football wasn't played, that could swing the general election because people in the base, in Trump's base, would be very upset that they didn't have football, which is practically a religion down there. And I disagree because he would simply shift blame. And, because the pandemic is raging, and they seem to be very low quality, susceptible to very low quality information and easy to propagandize, and almost immune to facts. Because as Kellyanne Conway, advisor of Trump, said, they have alternative facts. And if they stay in their kind of propaganda silos, like the Fox News propaganda silo, it wouldn't matter what happened because they would say, oh no, the handling of the pandemic has been great. The handling of
Kellerman's already been calling for boycotts to promote progressive issues. Made his comments as Major League Sports in the U.S. came to a standstill with players refusing to play based upon racial justice issues.
So I actually watched him and actually have to say that he's actually more aggressive than Stephen A. is. Because Stephen A. likes to come back and coddle those Fox viewers because he ends up on those shows sometimes. But all of these college football coaches that are trying to get kids back playing, none of these bastards are standing up and saying anything about what's going on in the country. Fucking Nick Saban did a little walk with his kids at the little march at his fucking school, but he hasn't stood up and said a goddamn thing about what's going on with the racial justice. All of these motherfuckers say that their kids are safer with them because they know that if they go back home, they might get COVID or they might get pulled over or arrested for some bullshit, but they won't stand up and say that. So fuck Nick Saban, fuck Jim Harbaugh, Dabo Sweeney fuck Dabo Sweeney, and any of these other people that are making all this money off of black kids, and all of you rest of you bastards who want to send your kids back to school so that they can make money off of these black kids, and these parents that are sending their kids back, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Go fuck yourself,
Jason.
Everything that Kareem said.
Go fuck yourself.
All right. I just thought it was interesting. Okay, so this happened in July. I don't know why we didn't find out about it until the end of August, but yes, there's tape of it. And I had somebody on Facebook ask me about something, and they go, "Is there tape of him saying it?" I'm like, would it fucking matter if there was tape of him saying it? Because he says fucking shit on tape all the time, and you don't seem to give a shit.
Yeah.
You don't seem to give a shit. This is fucking bonkers. This is just fucking bonkers. This man has access to the nuclear codes.
And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick. It's too heavy. A can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right?
You can throw a brick.
People throw bricks all the time.
Yeah, you can throw a brick.
You can.
Okay, so
you can drop a brick and then you have two bricks.
Okay,
yeah.
So he's on cans of soup that you can really throw hard. Okay, remember that, cans of soup.
Mm-hmm. And then when they get caught, they say, "No, this is soup for my family." They're so innocent. This is soup for my family.
Is anybody walking around a protest with soup?
I haven't seen it.
No. I got some soup.
It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start.
What the fuck is he talking about? Bags of soup?
Oh, yeah, George Soros buys bags of soup from
throwing it at our cops, at our police, and if it hits you.
Okay, and then our cops, our police. No. They are the cops. They are the police. They are there for everybody. That's the whole point of the police. By saying our cops, our police, you're really driving home the point that you don't think police are here to protect and serve anybody but you.
Yeah.
That is the most. I mean, take apart all of the other nonsensical bullshit in that. The idea that you come out and say our police and all that just really crystallizes the thought process behind the whole thing. Despite any of the other, whether it's dementia or whether it's just this fucking conjuring, there are people that sit and listen to this stuff and go, yeah. Did you hear about the soup?
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be great with Joel McHale. I loved the soup.
I love the soup. You like the soup?
Loved the soup.
That's worse than a brick because it's got force.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Well, listen, you have more force behind a can of soup, obviously, or a bag of soup.
The bag of soup.
And where you realize that they're marching for a long way. That's a lot of fucking weight to be carrying.
Right. Now, look, that's why they lay down the bags of soup in the street for the anarchists to pick up. What are you talking about? The anarchists? There are no anarchists. There are no anarchists. Antifa are not anarchists.
No.
At all. The only anarchists fly Trump flags.
Yes.
FYI. Controversial statement. Hot take. Hot take.
Go fuck yourself. Say it again. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, hot take.
Cool, buddy.
That's right. Hey, our friend Kanye, you know how much he's spent? Nearly $6 million on his presidential run so far. And according to TMZ, they found several ties to Trump. Shocking. They were trying to get his name on ballots from a bunch of states, and most of the loot has gone to companies specializing in just that. Those companies also have tangential ties to President Trump. What? The campaign filed its first financial report with the FEC, and if you tally up the disbursements, which is what's been spent, it comes to just under $6 million. And if you go into the raw data, you can see exactly what's been spent and on what. And between July and August, Kanye and company spent a little over $4 million on ballot access services, sending hundreds of thousands to a handful of organizations that help someone get on the ballot and quickly. There are 3 main LLCs he's gone to repeatedly, and some are headed by guys that either used to work for Trump's campaign or were trying to. One of the ballot companies Kanye hired is Fortified Consulting, which, according to the Washington Post, has the same address of a consulting firm called the Lincoln Strategy Group, run by a dude named Nathan Sproul, who worked on the 2016 Trump campaign. Shocking.
He deserves to get taken.
I mean, and that's it. I mean, basically, they're taking advantage of someone who has a mental illness when you're talking about dealing with this with Kanye. That's what this is. This is someone with a mental illness who has a problem, and they're just literally taking advantage of him for their own purposes. And it's, when you break it down, it's really, really kind of sad. Florida.
Florida, land of enchantment and crazy shit. This is Florida Corner.
Florida. Ashley Spencer wanted to celebrate her 34th birthday with a bang. Specifically, the Florida woman is accused of soliciting an accomplice to help kill her husband's lover, a murder that Spencer wanted to accomplish by her September 26th birthday, which could be her birthday gift to herself. That's according to the arrest affidavit.
All right, again.
I got myself something and murder. Police began investigating Spencer in late August after a friend reported that she was making threats against the woman, who is a corrections deputy with the county sheriff's office. Smart. In a Snapchat message, Spencer asked the source, "Do you know of any felons that don't give a damn about life and willing to do a job?"
Wow.
She's going to Trump's cabinet next with her soup. In a subsequent phone call, sources told cops that Spencer spoke of buying a gun and wanting to do harm to the baby fathered by her husband with the female target. During recorded phone calls with Spencer, the source claimed to have found someone who would assist in the murder plot for $1,000. Ashley stated that she could come up with the money and would like to talk to the male in person. In a September 2nd meeting with the purported felon, who was actually an undercover federal agent, Spencer agreed to pay $2,000 for the man's. So he talked her up. Nice. Wow. For the man's assistance. While Spencer said she had planned to shoot the victim while the woman slept in her home, she told the undercover that he would help her break into the residence and then dispose of the firearm after the killing. Spencer Comp's alleged detailed some of her pre-hit planning, which included leaving her car and phone at a relative's home 2 hours away. She planned to borrow someone's car to commit the crime and has gloves to wear to protect her hands from gunpowder. So she's thought this out.
She has really thought this out.
You know what that means? More prison time.
Oh, yeah.
She's charged with solicitation to commit murder and solicitation to commit burglary, both felonies, held in the county jail in lieu of $350,000 bond, scheduled for arraignment on October the 1st. Also in Florida, meet Bounty Cherami. He's 22 and a Florida resident, arrested for drunk driving early Sunday after allegedly slamming his Mazda. In Canada, they call them Mazdas. Mazda into an electronic sign cautioning motorists to drive sober or get pulled over. He's been charged with felony irony.
Wow.
He smelled of alcohol, was swaying back and forth, couldn't focus on questions posed by a deputy. He performed poorly on a series of field sobriety tests, took 2 breath tests, both of which recorded a blood alcohol content twice the 0.08 limit. He's charged with a pair of DUIs and careless driving, scheduled for arraignment on September the 16th. So that's what's happening in Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida. I'm getting myself a birthday present. She
had planned on doing most of it herself.
Yeah, you know what you got yourself for birthday? Time. You got
a lot of it.
A lot of time coming. Found this. This was tweeted out by the Lincoln Project, and I just want to play it. It's a minute and a half, and it's Doc Rivers talking about why you don't need to be black to be outraged.
It's just so sad. Just watching the Republican convention, and they're spewing this fear. Donald Trump and all of them talking about fear. We're the ones getting killed. We're the ones getting shot. All you do is keep hearing about fear. It's amazing to me why we keep loving this country, and this country does not love us back. Like, I should just be a coach. And it's so often reminded of my color. We got to do better, but we got to demand better. We protest and they send riot guards, right? We're trying to get them to protect us, just like they protect everybody else. You don't need to be black to be outraged. You need to be American and outraged. And how dare the Republicans talk about fear? We're the ones having to talk to every black child. What white father has to give his son a talk about being careful if you get pulled over? All we're asking is you live up to the Constitution. That's all we're asking for everybody, for everyone. Thank you.
Pretty powerful minute and a half there.
Yeah. And to go back a little bit to what Max Kellerman said, those people down there, they worship those athletes while they're on the field.
Yeah.
Without the irony that you don't want them dating your daughter off the field.
Or you're willing to believe the worst of them.
Oh, yeah. That you're like, those stadiums seat 80 to 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So you're there on a Saturday. You're gonna shut, like if you're in Nebraska, you shut down the whole fucking state. Tennessee does the same thing to go to a football game to celebrate these people, but then you can't see them as people without their helmets on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's really, I mean, it just sort of brings it home a little bit. I will suggest this. Follow the Lincoln Project if you're interested in really their whole purpose is to bring down Trumpism.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, or form. So they're a good if you're interested in that at all, they're a good follow on social media. They have a new podcast from the Lincoln Project. It's really well done. It's done out of Podcast Village in Washington, D.C. So check that out too. There's a lot of explainers about they've got a newer one out that explains how to make sure you're registered to vote and track your vote for mail-in voting. All of those things that are super important. But I just thought that kind of needed to be said. And I thought that said it in a way better than I can, because I don't have that perspective. Yeah. And there are white fathers that warn their kids about cops, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
It's don't do something stupid so you end up in jail, not don't do something stupid so you don't get killed.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty huge distinction between the two. All right, let's wrap it up.
Let's leave the hustle and bustle for small town news.
Yeah, let's go up to Maine. That's right. More than 24 COVID-19 cases have been linked to a wedding reception in Maine. The outbreak occurred after the August 7th celebration at the Big Moose Inn in Millinocket. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Millinocket Regional Hospital confirmed 28 cases tied to the event and said it expects the number to rise. That's according to news station WABI. Health officials previously reported that 18 out of the around 65 wedding guests were tested positive for the virus. They said they're conducting contact tracing for the guests, staff, and people who potentially came in close contact with confirmed cases during and after the event. Now, the state of Maine show allows gatherings up to 50 people indoors and 100 outdoors as long as social distance is possible. Health officials say they're looking into whether the Big Moose Inn followed the guidelines. Maine has recorded more than 4,200 infections in the state and 127 deaths as of Wednesday, according to Johns Hopkins University. So by the Jesus, they had themselves a wedding reception and everybody left with COVID.
Mazel tov.
Took a gift and came home with one.
Seriously. Wear a fucking mask. Stay away from people. Don't be stupid. There is a pandemic happening, and it does not care if you believe it exists.
It doesn't care whether your president is going to ignore it and pretend like it's not here anymore. Shit's still here.
It does not care. It does not discriminate.
And the projections that have been out have all been lower than what has happened. So keep that in mind. They're saying that up to 400,000 people could be dead by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing, so and you know, we're looking at vaccines. Trump's trying to push a vaccine out quicker, but it just hasn't been tested. So wear a mask. Stay away from people. Be smart about things. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family, and do it for your friends and your community.
Yes.
Be a goddamn American for once and give a shit about your fellow Americans. It's not that hard. It really isn't.
Nope.
No.
Look, we gave you yucks at the beginning of the fucking show. What do you want? Get everything.
That's right.
Got it all.
Get a little bit of everything. Check that out. We got a little bit. Get to see that. Yeah.
You got burned?
No, it's not. It's not. Fell out of a hammock.
Nice.
Yeah, fell out of a hammock. On a side note, my wife and I have finished Far Cry 5.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
What'd you think of the ending?
I will tell you after we sign off, Jason, because I don't want to ruin it for people.
Oh.
So, we'll see you next time next week on the WTH podcast. Be good. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and be safe out there, everybody. We'll see you later.